Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2020 crime biography Capone, a film that is written and directed by Josh Trank, and I believe it's his first film since the terrible Fantastic Four film. Well, I say terrible, I'm assuming it's terrible. I've never watched it, I've always avoided that one, but I think it's a fair safe assumption that it is a pretty terrible film. However, I digress. Now, this film stars Tom Hardy as Al Capone, Lindo Cardellini, Matt Dillon, Noel Fisher, Mason Guacone, and Kyle MacLachlan. And this tells the story of the final year of Al Capone's life, and it follows him after his release from prison. He spent 10 years in prison for his tax fraud, and he ends up being released due to his rapidly declining health in prison, due to syphilis and things like that, and he's released back into his mansion under the watchful eye of the FBI and everybody else, and his health begins to decline, and this film follows the final year of his life, and you basically see him crumble over that year, his mental health and his physical health, due to all the complications leading from his syphilis and his dementia and strokes and you name it, he had it basically. Right, so what are my thoughts on Capone? Well, I've been quite looking forward to this. I think it's fair to say that the trailer certainly had everybody's intrigue. It looked really interesting. Tom Hardy's a fantastic actor. We've seen him transform himself in previous films into well-known gangsters as well. You know, he's played a couple of gangsters. He did the Legend film in the UK, The Craterins, and he's done other things like that. So it's obviously a subject matter that kind of interests him, or maybe he's just really interested in really strong characters. And I've been looking at some reviews for this, written reviews, and they aren't particularly flattering. Maybe the vast majority of people going into this, maybe they thought they were going to get like another Untouchables or something, you know, a highly fictionalized version maybe of Al Capone, and blood and violence and death and swearing and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And what you actually get here is a pretty sad film, and not a fun film, but there's no denying, in my opinion, that it is a good film, with an incredible central performance by Tom Hardy. He's almost unrecognisable as this character Al Capone, or as he's affectionately known in the film, Fonz. He has his family round him, and surprisingly they're quite affectionate towards him, and yeah, it's quite sad. Now, I come from a care background. I know what things like dementia looks like, and how it affects people, and things like that, and I must admit, I think Tom Hardy's performance is remarkable, really. That look of real confusion and distance in his eyes, as to he's no idea who this person is or what's going on around him, and yeah, it's a very visceral and unapologetic film. And maybe the marketing they've done, I mean, you do see this sometimes with films, they mismarket films, so then when you go and see it you're disappointed, and that could have been what's happened a little bit here. But it's completely unapologetic. It is what it is. It's not really a biopic, because it's just the last year of his life. You do get a couple of flashbacks here and there, but you know, we all kind of know the story of Al Capone, but I didn't personally know this story, so I'm glad they've told it. It's just not an overly pleasant watch. It's a very dark and grim film. It dives deep into mental health, and what that can do to someone, regardless of who it is. It just happens to be Al Capone that this happens to. Yeah, fascinating film. I mean, there are a couple of bits in it that obviously I think they slightly dramatised maybe here and there. I mean, there's one person in particular that he keeps conversing with throughout the film, and the penny eventually drops. I'm sure that didn't happen. And it blurs a line between reality and dream, because he has an awful lot of nightmares and dreams, and there are a couple of light moments in it as well, uncomfortable light moments that actually make you giggle. Maybe they shouldn't, and you'll watch it and it'll kind of make sense, because it's at his expense, why you find things funny, I suppose. So it's a bit of an odd one, this. I think if you're going to go into this film thinking you're going to get a new Untouchables film, where it's a very violent gangster film, it really isn't that at all. There are some scenes in it depicting violence, very graphic violence here and there, but it's more him remembering or reminiscing, or flashback scenes here and there. Other than that, though, it's a very, very dark, grim film about someone's physical and mental state vastly deteriorating over a 12-month period. And it's a fascinating character piece in that sense, and I do applaud Tom Hardy for taking on this role. I think it will be one of those films that's probably more appreciated as time goes by. It's not going to be seen in cinemas. It was supposed to be seen in cinemas, but it has been put straight on video on demand, streaming services, etc., because it was never going to see a cinema release, unfortunately. So yeah, that's my review for Capone. I think don't take too much notice of the negative reviews. I think they're probably disappointed and they're expecting something else, maybe. I've given it an 8 out of 10. It's a very, very well made film. I think it's a clever return for Josh Trank. He's not tried to overextend himself. He's delivered a very dark and interesting film, and I think it's something that fans of films and acting and good storytelling will probably appreciate. So that's my review for Capone. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found it useful. I'll see you back for more reviews on Screen Stars very, very soon.